Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Real Bible Study. For those that don't know me, my name is Danielle, and I'm the Bible study facilitator. And I'm going to be here to help guide us through this conversation. Tonight, we're going to be in Genesis 48 and 49. So please get your Bibles out so that we can all read together silently while I read aloud. But like we do every week, we're going to open up with prayer. Are we ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Lord, open our eyes
Lord,
Lord,
open
open
our
our
eyes
eyes
so we can see something we've never saw before.
so
so
we
we
can
can
see
see
something
something
we've
we
never saw
never
before.
before.
Open our ears
Open our
Open our
ears
ears
so we can hear something we've never heard before.
so we can
to
hear
hear
something we've never
something we
heard
never
before.
heard before.
And open our hearts
And open our
And
hearts
open our hearts
so we can receive something we've never received before.
so we
we
can
can
receive
receive something
something
we
we've
never
never
received
received
before.
before.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So we're in chapter 48. Is everybody ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
A person. All right. Okay. Sometime after this, Joseph was told, your father is weaker. So he set out with his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. When Jacob was told, your son Joseph has come to you, Israel summoned his strength and sat up in bed. Jacob said to Joseph, God Almighty appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan and blessed me. He said to me, I will make you fruitful and numerous. I will make many nations come from you, and I will give this land as a permanent possession to your future descendants. Your two sons born to you in the land of Egypt before I came to you in Egypt are now mine. Ephraim and Manasseh belong to me, just as Reuben and Simeon do. Children born to you after them will be yours and will be recorded under the names of their brothers with regard to their inheritance. When I was returning from Paddan, to my sorrow, Rachel died along the way, some distance from Ephraim in the land of Canaan. I buried her there along the way to Ephraim, which is Bethlehem. When Israel saw Joseph's sons, he said, who are these? And Joseph said to his father, they are my sons. God has given me here. So Israel said, bring them to me and I will bless them. Now his eyesight was poor because of old age. He could hardly see. Joseph brought them to him and he kissed and embraced them. Israel said to Joseph, I never expected to see your face again. But now God has even let me see your offspring. Then Joseph took them from his father's knee and bowed with his face to the ground. Then Joseph took them both with his right hand, Ephraim toward Israel's left, and with his left hand, Manasseh toward Israel's right, and brought them to Israel. But Israel stretched out his right hand and put it on the head of Ephraim, the younger, and crossing his hands, put his left on Manasseh's head. Although Manasseh was the firstborn, then he blessed Joseph and said, the God before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who's been my shepherd all my life to this day, the angel who has redeemed me from all harm, may he bless these boys, and may they be called by my name, and the names of my father Abraham and Isaac, and may they grow to be numerous and within the land. When Joseph saw that his father had placed his right hand on Ephraim's head, he thought it was a mistake and took his father's hand to move it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's. Joseph said to his father, not that way, my father. This one is the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head. But his father refused and said, I know, my son. I know. He too will become a tribe, and he too will be great. Nevertheless, his younger brother will be greater than he, and his offspring will become a populous nation. So he blessed them that day, putting Ephraim before Manasseh when he said, the nation Israel will evoke blessings by you, saying, may God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. Israel said to Joseph, look, I'm about to die. But God will be with you and will bring you back to the land of your fathers. Over and above what I'm giving your brothers, I'm giving you the one mountain slope that I took from the Amorites with my sword and bow. Okay, are we ready? All right, so if I had to put a title to tonight's lesson, I'm going to title it, I Never Knew Love Like This Before. I never knew love like this before. On April 12th, 1997, I became a mom to a son, my one and only heartbeat outside my chest. Throughout my life, I've had many accomplishments. I survived the streets of Baltimore. I graduated high school. I bought a house. I graduated college. I got married. I stopped running and started this Bible study. But I often tell him that he is my greatest accomplishment. Watching him grow up, graduate high school, graduate college, buy his own house, and now he is a dad. Y'all, I never knew love like this before. My God, when anybody asks me, well, how did you do it? I say, I don't take any of the credit. This was all God. And nothing makes me prouder than to see how he fathers his daughter. I love to see his attention, his presence, his care, the way he reads to her, the way he provides for her, the way he spends time with her, and the way he overall loves her. It opened my eyes because I can honestly say I never knew love like this before. I never had a love like this from an earthly father. I know my earthly father loved me in his own way, but not like how I wanted, I needed, or desired. But when I accepted God and started trying to be better, my eyes were opened, and I never knew love like this before. And that is how I feel about the brothers in Genesis 48 and 49. Let's dive in. So in Genesis 48, 1 through 4, our story starts with Joseph being told that his father is very ill. Let's stop here. Can you imagine getting your relationship back on track with your father, and then you get hit with the news that your father is dying? Joseph didn't hesitate. He went to see his father. What did Jacob tell Joseph at this meeting? Can anybody guess?
What did who say to who?
What did Jacob tell his son when his son came to see him at this meeting?
Well, he will multiply, he will make his multiply his descendants.
Yep. He
Story.
said that God appeared to him and told him that I will make you fruitful and numerous. I will make many nations come from you, and I will give this land to your future descendants. Jacob shared with Joseph what God told him he would do for his family. So I went back to see if he ever told anybody else what God told him. And I didn't see anything. I can only imagine how Joseph looked at his dad like, wow, I never knew a love like this. My first point, ladies, is sometimes God will show you a love you never knew at the most uncomfortable time. God will show you a love that you never knew at the most uncomfortable time. When I became a nana, I loved that little girl with a love that I never knew. This little girl was an extension of my son, and every time I see her, I see him. And because of that, I'm going to make sure that she is covered, just like her dad. And I feel that is just what Jacob was doing with Joseph's sons. In Genesis 48 and 5 through 6, what did Jacob do to show his love?
Did he bring his son?
Yes. He told Joseph, He ain't asked his permission. He told Joseph that your sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, are now mine. I love this because he didn't give Joseph an option. If you know me, you know my son didn't have many options. I feel it was very disrespectful when I told him to do something, he didn't do it. He will tell you, she ain't asked me if I wanted to do it. She told me to do it, and I better get it done or deal with the repercussions. Why do you think Jacob did that? Why do you think he said, I'm gonna take your sons and they're gonna be mine? Why do you think he did that?
Because probably he missed his young
I
son.
was thinking that because he was missing Joseph when he was after they sold him. I thought about that. Anybody else? He felt like he was getting his time back through his kids. I thought about that. Anybody else? So why did he come and say, you know what? These kids are mine. They're no longer yours. Why would he do that?
Wasn't that kind of like the same thing that was done to him though? With his father?
Mm-mm. Nope.
Because the wife that bore Jake, Joseph, maybe?
What you think, Shantini? Did you think something?
I was just thinking, like, maybe he's saying that he will always, like, cover them and watch over them and be with them. Or maybe, like you said, he was trying to live through the kids since he kind of
Okay.
wasn't there for him, for Joseph.
Okay. So I said, I think so he can ensure that Joseph's sons would not miss out on the blessing of the family because they were born in Egypt and not Canaan. So remember, he said, many nations are going to come from you. So if he didn't take in Joseph's children, I guess he felt like they wouldn't have benefited from the blessing. Ladies, my next point I want to make is surround yourself around people who don't just love you. Make sure they love your kids too. That goes for family, friends, future love interests. If you can't love what comes from me, then you can't love me. In Genesis 48:7, we see a love that I'm not sure Joseph had ever seen before. What happened? So right in verse 7, what happened?
Rachel died.
Yes. So I said, Joseph didn't get to see how Jacob loved his mother in her later years and how he loved her when it was time to put her to rest. Jacob explained to his son where he buried his mother. Can you imagine how Joseph felt? Because he didn't get the opportunity to say goodbye to his mother. I'm sure that this gave Joseph some closure to know where his mother's final resting place is and confirmed for Joseph how his father really felt about his mother. I'm sure he heard the rumors growing up, how she was the favorite wife, but it's nothing like seeing it for yourself. I'm sure he looked at his dad and said, I'm glad that he had a love like this. I still remember the first time I saw my granddaughter and my son put her in my arms. It was the greatest feeling. I remember laying my hands on her head and praying over her. I can only imagine how Jacob felt when he saw Joseph's kids for the first time. In Genesis 48:8-12, Joseph brings his sons to see his father so they can be blessed. Look at this love. Jacob said, I never thought I would see you again, but God has allowed me to not only see you again, but your sons as well. I love Joseph because even though he was second in command in Pharaoh's house, he still didn't think he was too good to bow down and give his father reverence. Ladies, my next point, don't get too high in position that you can't give reverence to the ones that deserve it. Don't get too high in your position that you can't give reverence to the ones that deserve it. It is nothing that I wouldn't do for my granddaughter. If I got it to give, she can have it. My son gets upset sometimes because I keep getting her all this stuff. I told him, don't block her blessings. She will have equal balance. She will be blessed, but she will also be appreciative and grateful. In Genesis 48, 13 through 14, Joseph brought his sons to his father and placed them in front of his father the way he wanted them to be. He didn't let his father place them. He placed them with the oldest son in his father's right hand. Does anybody know what the right hand symbolizes in the Bible?
Mm-mm.
The right hand in the Bible is always the favorite position. And Joseph felt the oldest son should be the favorite one. Isn't that ironic? That he wanted to have that because he was the youngest and he wanted to kind of confirm or force that position on his oldest. Why? Why do you think he wanted
he
the
was the
oldest to
firstborn.
be favorite?
But the birthright.
Because he was the firstborn.
Because he was the firstborn. What else?
Probably because how he was treated by his brothers.
Yes, Dee Dee. Yes, that's exactly what it is. He probably said, I don't want my kids to go through what I went through. I know how it felt to be mistreated and hated and all because I was the favorite, but I was the youngest. So I'm going to try to fix this for my sons so that they don't have to experience what I experienced. So I'm going to make sure that the oldest is to the right and the youngest is to the left. So he said, so I said, Joseph, he never had a love like this before. Okay, John A., I'm sorry. We in Genesis 48, 13 through 14. So he said, I'm sorry. He said, I said, Joseph never had a love like this before. And he didn't want his son to be hated over favor. My next point, ladies, let's stop trying to interfere with other people's blessings. God is still blessing others. He is watching how you react to the blessing. If you can't be happy, he can't bless you. But I promise the Bible says, rejoice when others are rejoicing, and your day of blessing will come. When studying this text, God started showing me that when the children gets blessed, so did the father. In Genesis 48, 15 through 16, Jacob said, the God before whom my fathers, Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who has been my shepherd all my life to this day, the angel who has redeemed from all harm, may he bless these boys, and may they be called by my name and the names of my fathers, Abraham and Isaac, and may they grow to be numerous within the land. My God, I never knew a love like this before. This grandfather asked God to bless both sons and attach not only his name, but his father and his grandfather's name, because our name means something. I have a question. Does your name mean something? If your name is mentioned, will it open doors or will it close doors? If your name is mentioned, will it open doors or will it close doors? In Genesis 48, 17 through 20, because of the love that Joseph had for his children, I think he did what most parents would do, is try to fix what he thought was wrong. He knew his father was ill and his sight wasn't what it used to be. So it only makes sense that he got it wrong, right? It only makes sense that, oh man, he messed up. This son, this hand supposed to go on this head and this hand supposed to go on this head. It only makes sense. But my God, when he crisscrossed those hands, that let me know you can try anything. But what God has for me is for me. You can't block what God wants to take place. God so loves us that he blesses us, not on where we are right now, but for where we are going. I don't know about y'all, but I ain't never know a love like this before. In Genesis 48:21 through 22, this is what really gave me the chills. Because he said, yes, son, I am dying, but God will be with you and will bring you back to the land of your fathers. And I will be over and above, and you're going to get over and above what I'm giving your brothers. At this very moment, I am sure that Joseph never forgot how much his father loved him, but he never knew a love like this before. A love that will have you get the strength to speak blessings over my kids that you ain't never even know. And I've been missing for all these years. And you still gonna bless them because they came from me. My God. Thank you for showing me that a love like this really exists. Because you can't even get family to bless the family they see. This man just met these kids. They were little children, and he said, I'm going to take them in. They're going to be mine. They're not yours no more. Come on, they mine now, and they're going to be entitled to everything because they mine. So now we're at the end of chapter 48. Before we move on, is there anything in this chapter that y'all want to discuss? Anything stick out?
I have more so like a question.
Mm-hmm.
So Jacob, didn't he have a brother too, though?
Remember, Jacob had a brother. Remember, he stole his birthright.
Right. So Jacob was the younger brother too, right?
Yeah.
So that's what the point I was trying to make about history repeating itself.
Yes.
So wait a
I'm
minute.
sorry.
So Isaac, right? Wasn't Isaac Jacob's father? Am I missing a person?
That's right. Isaac was his
So
father because Abraham was Isaac's father. Yep, that's right.
right. So did Isaac have a brother as well? I know I'm probably going back to
Did
Genesis, like
Isaac
all the way
have a
back.
brother too? Isaac, let's see. Did Isaac have a brother too? Let's check it
Because
out. This
just like with
has
Joseph, he was favored over his
yes.
older siblings too.
Yes, this is
So now we
This
got
has been common in Genesis. Absolutely.
okay.
Where the
All right.
youngest has been blessed over the oldest. Absolutely. And then Jacob, though, interfered with his because he was entitled to it anyway, but he still tried to steal it. Him and his mama.
Right.
So I'm not sure if did Isaac have any, let me see. Did Isaac have any siblings? Let's see.
I see he was the only son of Abraham and Sarah.
See? Yeah, he was the only son. So nope, he didn't have any siblings. So this started with them. And I'm not sure if it stopped with them either.
Okay.
So anything else in 48?
Ishmael was his half brother, and they sent him away.
Ishmael, that's right. Remember, because the Hagar had him.
Right.
Remember? Because the mother had Rachel. What was his wife's name? The wife had him late in Sarah. Sarah had him late in life.
Right.
And so he had the half brother Ishmael by the concubine.
Hagar.
Right. So you see the point that I'm making? Jacob was still favored too. No, Isaac, right? Isaac. We talking about Isaac, right?
Isaac was favored, yeah, because
and he was younger.
He was Sarah, yeah. Absolutely. So this has continued generation to generation to generation. You are correct, Ashley. That is a nice point. Let me write it down. This was 3 generations of the youngest getting blessed. Let's write it down because 3 generations of the youngest getting blessed. Anything else that anybody picked up from the study? Y'all ready to move on to 49?
Yep.
Okay. Then Jacob called his sons and said, gather around, and I will tell you what will happen to you in the days to come. Come together and listen, sons of Jacob. Come together and listen, sons of Jacob. Listen to your father Israel. That's going to mean something. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my strength, and the first fruits of my fertility, excelling in prominence, excelling in power, turbulent as water, you will not excel, because you got into your father's bed and you defiled it. He got into my bed. Simeon and Levi are brothers. Their knives are vicious weapons. May I never enter their council. May I never join their assembly. For in their anger they kill men, and on a whim they hamstring oxen. Their anger is cursed, for it is strong, and their fury is for the cruel. I will disperse them throughout Jacob and scatter them throughout Israel. Judah, your brothers will praise you. Your hand will be on the necks of your enemies. Your father's sons will bow down to you. Judah is a young lion. My son, you return from the kill. He crouches, he lies down like a lion or a lioness. Who dares to rouse him? The scepter will not depart from Judah, or the staff from between his feet, until he whose right it is comes, and the obedience of the people belongs to him. He ties his donkey to a vine, and the colt of his donkey to the choice vine. He washes his clothes in wine, and his robes in the blood of grapes. His eyes are darker than wine, and his teeth are whiter than milk. Zebulun will live by the seashore and will be a harbor for ships, and his territory will be next to Sidon. Ishkar is a strong donkey. Lying down between the saddlebags, he saw that his resting place was good and that the land was pleasant. So he leaned his shoulder to bear load and became a forced laborer. Dan will judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan will be a snake by the road, a viper beside the path that bites the horse's heels, so that its rider falls backwards. I wait for your salvation, Lord. Gad will be attacked by raiders, but he will attack their heels. Asher's food will be rich, and he will produce royal delicacies. Naphtali is a doe set free that bears beautiful fawns. Joseph is a fruitful vine beside a spring. Its branches climb over the wall. The archers attacked him, shot at him, and were hostile toward him, yet his bow remained steady, and his strong arms were made agile by the hands of the mighty one of Jacob. By the name of the shepherd, the rock of Israel, by the God of your father who helps you, and by the Almighty who blesses you with blessings of the heavens above, blessings of the deep that lies below, and blessings of the breast and the womb. The blessings of your father excel the blessings of my ancestors and the bounty of the ancient hills. May they rest on the head of Joseph, on the brow of the prince of his brothers. Benjamin is a wolf. He tears his prey. In the morning, he devours the prey. And in the evening, he divides the plunder. These are the tribes of Israel, 12 in all. And this is what their father said to them. He blessed them, and he blessed each one with a suitable blessing. Then he commanded them, I'm about to be gathered to my people. Bury me with my ancestors in a cave in the field of Ephron, the Hittite. The cave is in the field of Machpelah near Mam in the land of Canaan. This is the field that Abraham purchased from Ephron, the Hittite, as burial property. Abraham and his wife Sarah are buried there. Isaac and his wife Rebekah are buried there. And I buried Leah there. The field and the cave in it were purchased from the Hittites. When Jacob had finished giving charges to his sons, he drew his feet into the bed, took his last breath, and was gathered to his people. Okay. So now that Jacob is dying and knows that he doesn't have much time left, he wanted to meet with all his sons, which are known as the 12 tribes of Israel, to let them know what was to come. Do you think that Jacob's parenting style or the love that he has for his sons changed over the years? Why or why not?
No,
You say no, Shantanese?
no. I just like from here how he distributed everything. Some got more, some got less.
So did they get blessed depending on their actions? Or did they what why do you think he did it that way?
I don't
Because as a
know.
parent, right? Well, let's
Hmm.
anybody else before I start diving into the lesson.
I I think
And
I
I
think
think,
he did.
oh,
I'm sorry. I think they did. He did bless them according to
hmm
what
how they
it
are.
did change throughout the verses. Because
Yes,
he even you can even go back to verse 3 when he start talking about Reuben, how you were my first, but because you doing this
you
and
did
this, you
this
are
and
no longer
this.
first no more.
Mm-hmm. What you was going to say, Asia? You think his
No,
love changed?
yeah, I think so. I mean, like we all know our kids. We know what our kids do and won't do. Some of us. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like he knew their actions and he went through them accordingly how they were going to be.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. But I also want to talk about, do y'all think now that he got all his kids back together after all these years, he lived with them in Egypt for 17 years. So for 17 years, he's had all 12 of his sons. Do you think that changed him? Or he was still the same? For these last 17 years that he lived with all 12 of his sons, do you think
I,
he
de-
changed?
I definitely think he changed as a father because you're actually getting to watch them in a different
That's what I was gonna say.
and age wise.
Yes.
So it kind of makes you more wiser on how to speak into their lives, how to
Mm.
affect them, and what you're going to say to them before you leave this earth, because
Yeah,
it's going to follow them wherever they go. It builds their character.
absolutely. Because now you're looking at them with wisdom. And
Yes.
for these last 17 years, he's watched them.
Mm-hmm.
We not seeing that part of what they've done or didn't do over the past 17 years, but he saw them. He saw everything that they did. But let's dive in. So in Genesis 49, 1 through 2, we find a father that is calling his sons to come together. But look at how he called them. He said, come together and listen, sons of Jacob. But listen to your father Israel. This statement is so powerful. What he is saying, I was one person when I had you. But now that I've grown, been through some things, I had some W's and some L's. In spite of me, God has been so good to me that he showed me a love I never knew before. He forgave me of my sins and changed my name. So what I'm about to say to you is not going to be from the old me. It's going to be the new me speaking. Come and hear what thus saith the Lord. I know these sons are excited to hear what is coming their way, but for some, it might be a blessing. But for some more, it's going to be a disappointment. Oftentimes, parents have to discipline their children, and sometimes even their adult children as well. Hello. All I can do as your parent is try my best to teach you right from wrong. And if I really love you, I'm going to celebrate you when you do something great, but I'm also going to discipline you when you do something wrong. In Genesis 49, 3 through 4, Jacob told Reuben, you are my firstborn. You are my strength and my power. But you're a troubled son. What did he do to deserve this discipline from his father?
Didn't he sleep with his wife? Who we talking about, Reuben?
Absolutely. Reuben, he slept with his father's concubine, Bilhah, the mother of his two brothers, Dan and Naphtali.
And then my Bible say he slept with her on his couch.
On his,
I don't know.
yep, Yep, in his father bed, it said. In his father bed. So if the father was sleeping on the couch, he not only did he sleep with her, but dad, you couldn't even make a little pad on the floor. You slept with her on the couch?
On the couch.
Yeah. So I said, ladies, remember there will always be consequences for your actions. It don't always come back the way you gave it out. So here Reuben thinking like, yeah, my father loved me now. He blessing me not as Jacob, he blessing me as Israel. And he always talking about this God that he served. So I know I'm about to get blessed. He said, you was all these things, but you troubled, son. And you know what I'm wondering? Since, like Dee Dee said, he's watched him over these years. I wonder if he changed. Or if he kept doing the same type of activities. We can only guess because we don't know. It's not written down. But for him to get this, must ain't really changed much. Now, y'all, I can be honest, because this is the real Bible study. But I was a little upset with what Jacob spoke over to Simeon and Levi's life, who were his second and third born sons. Because in Genesis 49:5-7, he told them in anger, you killed men. What did they do? Do y'all remember?
When
They killed
his
the
daughter
men.
got raped,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was justified.
Remember, they killed all the men of Shechem for the rape of their sister, Donna.
And
I
where
was,
Donna at?
yeah, well, you know, the girls don't really have much of a story.
Ain't get it
I
got
was
none.
like, okay, what was wrong with that? Because, you know, this is the real Bible study. What was wrong with that? They didn't just kill them for no reason. They took something from their sister, and then her brothers took their lives. I don't know about
If
you.
anything, he should have been the one fighting for that girl
Yeah,
as the
I don't
father.
know about you, but I never knew a love like this before. On the right hand, I had to ask myself, what would Jesus do? And then I know he would want to fight my battles. Because if I take action, I'm the one that has to deal with the consequences. And his punishment is far worse than what mine would be anyway. He also told Simeon and Levi that I will divide you and scatter you, which we're going to learn later on, that this division was a blessing for Levi, but it was
I
a
was just
curse
about
for
to say that.
Simeon.
Yeah. Later on.
What lesson can we learn from this?
Everything has a cause and effect.
Everything has a cause and effect.
And
Anything
sometimes
else?
you have to be alone in order to, let me get my words together. It's coming to me. Sometimes you got to be alone in order to realize what God really has for you. And to realize the error of your ways as well. Because sometimes he'll sit you down, you know, I know. And you have to realize your actions and what you've done. So you have to be alone in it.
So you think Simeon and Levi sat in this time and said, maybe we was wrong?
Absolutely. Or he's definitely gonna make you uncomfortable. So they were probably used to being together. So in order to make them uncomfortable, he divided them.
Okay. Because maybe that's a good point, Ashley. Because maybe y'all do better apart. Because when y'all together, y'all do wrong. Y'all get in trouble. You know how when you're in school and you sit beside your best friend and y'all keep talking all the time, so they gotta separate you, so that you can get the lesson. Because when you sit together, you're not getting the lesson because you talking about whatever came on TV, what you did to eat at lunch last night, what we gonna do the weekend, what you gonna wear to school tomorrow because it's the first week. But so when you separate it, you gotta listen. Because everything that's around you that would be interfering in it, it's not around you anymore. So you gotta really be separated sometimes to listen. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Sometimes that works like that in your adulthood.
Absolutely.
All friends ain't good friends.
My God. Yes. Everybody that you think is for you ain't for you. Zora Neale Hurston got a good quote that y'all can write it down. Zora Neale Hurston said it. All of your skin folk ain't your kinfolk.
Mhm.
All of your skin folk ain't your kinfolk.
And then they killed all the men in the
They killed
city.
them
They
all,
just had to
Ashley.
kill.
I
They
mean, they
had
killed
to
them
kill
all.
all of them.
They killed all of. I mean,
They said they
They
gotta
had to kill
go.
them all.
and he
They
said, we're
said
going to
they
take care
gotta
of all
go.
of it. We're going to take care of all, because
Mhm.
y'all defiled my sister. So now this city ain't even going to be no more. Ain't nothing else coming from y'all because y'all bad people. So we're going to be the judge
And
and the
jury.
jury. They said guilty. All of y'all got to go.
Guilty by
I feel
association.
like with them two, like honestly, when I heard about that story, Simeon was my favorite because I was like, he fighting for his sister's honor, even though he kind of took things into his own hands,
Yeah.
which was never a good thing. And with Simeon and his brother, I feel like with them, it was kind of like the blind leading the blind because it's like he's saying we don't go do this, and then nobody had no rejection or nothing was like, oh no, we're not gonna do it. It's not right. They
And you
both
know,
was in accordance with
absolutely.
with each other's
Yeah.
madness, so they were
But you
leading
know
each
what
other down
but
the path of
I think for
destruction.
us too, in this, we were so tired of the women being mistreated, right? Because we had been reading through Genesis and all the women was just being walked over,
Right.
disrespected, raped, didn't have a
Mhm.
voice. And when we got here, we finally seen some men that was defending us. Man, I never knew a
Mhm.
love like that.
Mhm.
Real. That was some real, to
Mhm.
me, that was some real, genuine love. I'm like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
I was reading that, I was like, man, I don't know no love like that. Not this, I mean, not that I would want to be put in a situation where somebody would have to kill somebody for my honor. But just to think,
Mhm.
like, I could think back over my life of some of the things that have happened to me. And I really wish that somebody would have defended me. And I ain't have no love like that. And here, this girl, her brothers took it to the utmost. They said, what? Everybody gotta go. You two riding the donkey, you two. You gotta go too. And I love that for her. So what greater way to learn to know a love like this than to give praise? In Genesis 49, 8 through 12, Jacob told Judah, his fourth son, your brothers will praise you. Your hands will be on your enemy's neck. Your brothers will bow down to you. The scepter will not leave you. I know Judah is probably thinking, what's our favorite Bible study, y'all? Who, me? It could be.
Couldn't be.
Because we all know Judah did some things that was not the best. Like it was his ideal to sell Joseph in the first place. We all know he did Tamar wrong. Then he slept with her as a
Mhm.
prostitute. Then he
Mhm.
tried to kill her until he realized he was the baby daddy. God is showing us that we can be used even when we mess up. We can be used even when we mess up. Look at how the blessings came down to Judah. Judah had grown because he finally operated in the meaning of his name. Praise showed up when he decided to trade places with Benjamin. Praise showed up when it was time to convince their father to come to Egypt to see Joseph. And praise showed up to prepare their new home in Goshen. Judah will also rule like a lion, which will show up in the kings that will come from the line of the tribe of Judah, because the scepter will not pass from this line. And eventually the Messiah, God's ultimate leader, will come from the tribe of Judah. Man, I never knew a love like this. Think about Judah. Judah, in these years that he lived with his father, he redeemed himself. Just like Dee Dee said, his father watched him and saw the change in him and said, you know what? God has forgiven him because look at how he living. So for that, he gonna be blessed.
He
Let's
did
look at
have verses 8 through 12, by the way. He had like 4
8
verses.
through 12. He did have a lot. Let's look at how this love continues in Genesis 49 and 13. Jacob told Zebulun that you will live by the sea and you will harbor ships. So let me get this straight. You skipped over 4 of my brothers to bless me because now we out of order. We out of
That threw
order.
me off. Right.
Yeah, we out of order.
Mhm.
So you skipped over 4 of my brothers to bless me. I know Zebulun felt like, whew, I never knew a love like this before. My next point is, it doesn't matter how old you are, who is the oldest or the youngest. When it's your time, can't nobody stop it.
Sure. Mm-mm.
In Genesis 49, 14 through 15, the ninth son, Ishkar, might not have liked so much how his father spoke of him. He told his son, "You are a strong donkey, but you are also lazy, and your laziness will spill over into your people. You will be the third largest tribe, but because of your mindset, your people will become enslaved."
Mm-hmm.
This had to be hard for him to hear. But guess what? His father hit the nail on the head. Because even after he told him that this was going to happen, he didn't do nothing about it. He became comfortable in the land that was given to him. He didn't want to do no more than what he had. So it wasn't hard for somebody else to come and take it. Ladies, don't be a strong donkey or lazy either. Don't become comfortable where you are. Keep wanting more. Keep being hungry and keep improving. In Genesis 49, 16 through 17, Jacob is speaking over Dan. Dan is the fifth son. He said Dan will be a tribe that judge his people. One of the most prominent of the judges, Samson, who we will read about soon, will come from this tribe. Dan will also be a snake by the road that will bite the horse's heels so that the riders will fall backwards. Dan's tribe won't be too trustworthy, if you ask me, because if you're a snake, you ain't too trustworthy. And so I said this, we all know there's a snake in every family. Look at this love. In Genesis 49 and 18, Jacob didn't wait till he got to the end to give God praise. He stopped right there. He said, "I wait for your salvation, Lord." Salvation is defined as deliverance from sin and its consequences. I wait for you to deliver me from my sins and consequences, Lord. My next point, ladies, only God can deliver you. Once you are delivered, you will know a love like you have never known before. In Genesis 49 and 19, Jacob spoke over Gad, the seventh son. Gad will be attacked, but he will win in the end. My God, so you telling me that yes, I'm going to be under attack, but no weapon formed against me will prosper? I'm telling you, I never knew a love like this before. In Genesis 49 and 20, Jacob spoke over Asher, the eighth son. He said, your food should be rich, and you should produce royal delicacies. It has been said that when your food tastes real good, that means you made it with love. Well, ladies, prepare your best meal because your eyes are about to be open, and you have never had a love like this that's on its way. In Genesis 49 and 21, Jacob spoke over Naphtali, the sixth son. He said, you are a foe, set free. Foe is defined as an enemy. He said, you, my son, are free, and you will produce beautiful youngins. When doing my studies, I also found out that in the region of Naphtali was where Jesus did most of his ministry work. That's the goal, to have God do the work where we reside. In Genesis 49, 22, and 26, Jacob spoke over Joseph, the 11th son, that he would be fruitful and blessed. Jacob also told him that the blessings of Joseph will excel the blessings of Jacob's ancestors. Joseph will be attacked, but he will remain steady because he was covered by the mighty God of Jacob, who was also known as the shepherd, the rock of Israel, the God of your father who helps you, and the Almighty who blesses you. Joseph was getting a love that he never knew before. Look at all of that prayer that his father prayed over him. He was getting covered from all sides. In Genesis 49 and 27, Jacob spoke over Benjamin. That's his 12th son. And he said, son, you will be a wolf. He said, you will devour the prey. Devour translates to mean eat quickly. So what you're saying is, I will quickly get rid of those that are preying on, that God is going to quickly get rid of those that are preying on me. Ladies, whoever or whatever is preying on you, don't worry, because they are going to be gone quickly.
Oh.
Thank you, God, because I never knew a love like this before. In Genesis 49 and 28, this love that I never knew before was so awesome, because this father blessed his sons according to his own blessing. Even when we might think that something wasn't a blessing, it still fulfilled the destiny that each of these sons would survive, and they would grow into significant tribes. As we continue on in our reading, the number 12 is also significant because it symbolizes God's power and authority. We're going to meet these 12 tribes again as we continue on in these stories. In Genesis 49, 29 through 32, Jacob asked to be buried back in the land of Canaan with his people. Now look at this. Though he wanted to be buried in the same cave as Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, and Leah, I would think he would want to be buried next to Rachel, the wife he loved the most. But because Rachel died so suddenly, she had to be buried on their way to Ephraim, which is Bethlehem, and not in the cave at Machpelah. Even in death, God still loves us. We all know that Leah loved Jacob way more than he loved her. But God favored Leah. He had a special place in his heart for Leah. And he set it up so that she would rest beside her husband. I ain't never know a love like this before. In Genesis 49 and 33, after his job of blessing his sons were complete, Jacob took his last breath and was gathered to his people. This let me know that we are still here, ladies, because our assignment has not been completed. Because if our assignment was completed, it would be time for us to rest in our resting place. So I have one last thing that I want to say to y'all before I tie it together. So I said, I found this quote, and it's by Muesli, Museuli, Museuli. God, before I met you, I never knew what it was like to be able to look at someone and smile for no reason. Thank you for opening my eyes so I could know a love like this. We're going to tie it together. Y'all ready?
Yes.
Come on, right here.
It was a blood
Shed on Calvary, come on.
shed on Calvary.
No greater love
No greater love
can ever be shown to me.
can ever be shown to me.
I smile while I praise,
I smile while I pray,
because I'm as happy.
'cause I'm as happy as I can be.
I can never repay. Come on.
Never repay the debt he
All right, what did we learn?
Well,
What-
I learned that you should speak honestly, like Jacob did to his sons, and you should listen with respect, like they did. So I
Even if you
learned
don't
that,
like it. Even if you
even
don't
if you
like,
don't like
even
it.
if you don't
Yep.
like what they gotta say. I like it. What else? What else did we learn?
I learned that God blesses us in every situation that we go through, good or
Absolutely.
bad.
Good or
Mhm.
bad. I like that. I like that, Miss Maria. What else? Anybody else learned anything that they want to share?
I think the wow moment for me was when you asked, will your name open doors when it's mentioned or close doors? Like that
Yes,
was
yes,
it was a
yes.
wow moment.
Yeah, yeah, because what is your name? What is your name representing when people hear your name? Oh God, here she come.
Mm.
I don't want her coming. Who coming? Right? When you know how we do, who gonna be there?
Who all gonna be there?
Yeah, who all gonna be there? Yeah, I pass.
And sometimes if you connected to a certain name, they might be like, it's nothing
Yeah,
personal against you, but
yeah, birds of a
maybe
feather.
not.
They think they flock together.
Yep.
That's a good one. What else?
I learned that God's timing is greater than ours.
My God,
Yeah.
Didi. Yes, 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 yes. And I love that I learned that I can be one. I could have had, I had my son and I was one person. But as I watched him grow and as I grow, I became something different. So I can speak over his life with a different voice because I'm different. So that was like when I read that, I was like, wow, he had them as Jacob, but he's speaking to them, speaking over their life as Israel. Because God saved them and changed his name after he didn't have some of these kids. I love that. And I didn't know that before. So I learned that. And I'm going to stick with that one for a second. Anybody else want to share what they learned before we end? I'm gonna tell y'all, this was so much. I enjoyed this lesson so much. That song was on repeat the whole time because it's crazy. Because I was started humming it over the weekend, and I was like, "Why am I humming this song?" Right? And I was like, "Maybe that's what Bible study's supposed to be." So I started listening to different versions. So while I was doing Bible study, that's probably why it took 3 days for me to edit it because I was had this song on repeat over and over and over because when you really think about it, what it really meant, even I was listening to Stephanie Mills' version and I listened to this version because I was like, I never really did. Once I got saved and decided to try to live a little bit better because I still got work to do, I never knew a love like this. And this type of love is so awesome that it make you sit and be like, wow. When you just sit and you look at everything that he's done, and like Ashley said, respectfully, they came. Think about it. Some people might not come when their father called them. Their father called them, and they came, and they sat and they took whatever he had to say and said, "Well, I mean, we ain't never hear where anybody disputed it." They was like, "Well, this is what I'm getting." You think about it now. When somebody loved one about the past and they ain't getting what they thought they were supposed to get, oh, they be ready to burn houses down. They be flipping tables over. They ain't coming to the funeral. You can't ride in a family car. I mean, it can get real rough during transition. But they came and they listened and they accepted and they respected what their father had to say. And that's
They
awesome.
took it with a grain of salt.
And they took some growth too.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, these the same brothers that took their youngest brother and threw him in a pit.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess life had not been over the years. They would start saying, maybe some of these things that we went through was because
Do
of what
you
we did to him.
do you think when they went to go see Joseph again, even though they didn't know it was Joseph, that's what really made them change their ways when they saw him?
Well, remember they said, because I don't know if you was on that week, Ashley. Remember they said, do you think we being punished for what we did to our
Oh,
brother? They said
okay.
that. Remember, do you think we
Yeah.
being
So
punished for what we might have did? So I think they was carrying that with them all along, like all these years. in the back of their mind, I think they probably was like, what happened to him? I wonder what's going on with him. I mean,
Conviction is real.
keep you up at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you sick to your stomach?
Yeah.
Have you thinking about, oh, maybe I shouldn't have.
Have you just looking
Sitting up in the dark in the middle of the
looking
bed with
crazy.
crisscross
Just sitting there
applesauce.
looking.
Like, what did I ask?
Looking out the window.
But you know what
Looking
the
out the
funny part
window.
is? You be asking, but what did I do? Remember what you did. What did I do to deserve this? But you know what you did.
That's
But you
that
still
guilty conscience
asking.
eating you up.
It's real. Before we go, anybody else want to share before we go?
I'm still on wow. That's all.
I think
I'm just still
also
on wow.
I learned a lot. We're almost done this entire
Yeah, we got one more.
chapter,
We
which is
got one more
amazing.
chapter, and then we be moving on to
Yes,
Exodus. What you was
think
gonna
I
also
say?
learned so much.
Go ahead, Dee.
I think also as a parent, it kind of helps you look at your children in a different perspective. Because sometimes you speak everything over all your children, but then you got to kind of realize their lives are different. So you can't say, I want y'all to be the same. I want y'all to live this route, when you got to look at who they are and who they are as adults. Like my son's 23, my daughter's 17. So when I speak over my son, I can't speak over my daughter because their lives are different.
Absolutely.
Different. So I have to affirm them differently.
Absolutely.
And I'm hoping that in this season, as they're not just their parent, but I say like I'm their guidance counselor. So I have to guide them through their next.
Or their social worker.
Give them
Yes.
give them words of wisdom.
I love
whichever
it.
route they go.
And you know, that's great. That's the best, because I had to look at these two chapters through the eyes of a parent. I looked at it through the eyes of a parent and through the eyes of a grandparent. So that's what it was like, when I started thinking like, well, how I'm going to teach it, right? So it's funny because my granddaughter calls me every night. So it must have made me think like, you know what, I'm going to have to look at this from my relationship with them. And because until you become a grandparent, that love for that grandchild is way different than the love that you have as a parent. Because me and my sister talk about all the time what my mother let these kids get away with. We would have never, ever in our life got away with it. We sit and we look, and I be like, she making them hot breakfast? What? We ate cereal. Like these kids, my mother, she be just sitting there. They be ripping and running. We couldn't run in the house.
Yeah.
And so we be sitting there looking like, is this where we are? So it's just a different type of love when you have these grandchildren. You only want the best for them. No, of course you're not going to let them do anything that's going to harm them. But it's like it's a different love, and it's truly I never had a love like this. So this was definitely fitting for this lesson. Anything else before we go?
Before we go, Miss Danielle, I was gonna ask if I could get this.
I will send you the recording. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Not a problem, John A. Anybody else on here wants to record and uploads? What's the
ready.
What's the recording on uploads? Who else? Just raise your hand.
Me and my friend,
yeah, I know you and your friend.
I missed the last two.
You missed the last two? Okay, I'll send them to you. Dee Dee, put your cell phone number in the chat, because it's easier for me to text them to you than wait for them to come for the email. And then who iPhone 4, is that you, Ebony?
Yep.
Okay. So I got your number. So you just want this week's?
I'm sorry.
You want
I
this?
think I got last week's, I think. So yeah.
Okay. This week's. Okay. Brittany, you keeping track? And who else? So Dee Dee want these. You want the two before this one and this one, Dee Dee, or just the two? Okay. Or just the two before this week? Or you want two and this night?
You can send me all three. All
three. All right. And Asia, you want tonight?
Yes.
And I already know Trina and Sherry want tonight, and I already know Aisha. Some people I know is always wants them, so I just want to make sure that I'm making it. I'm John A, and I'm making sure that everybody gets the lesson. All right, y'all. Well, this was I loved it. And I hope that when we all get off and we can go back and look over our notes and we realize, like, it's you never knew a love like this. And God,
got-
what can I do? Go ahead,
I
Ashley.
got a question. So next week, are we going to do just only 50, or are we going to start Exodus too?
So we had talked about doing 50, right? And then recapping the whole Genesis
Okay.
as a is that what we still want to do? We want to go over 50.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
go over 50, right? Just do
Mhm.
study 50, and then we can recap all the Genesis.
Yeah.
Y'all giving me some homework to do. Okay, so I'll recap all of Genesis. We'll go over 50, and then by the time when we meet after that, we'll be ready to start Exodus. Can
Okay.
y'all believe it? We through Genesis.
I'm right.
I remember Ashley used to be like, we ain't gonna never get through. And I was like, we gonna get through it. And we through it. So all right. So we got it.
Yes,
Everybody
ma'am.
clear? Brenda, you got everything you needed? She got everything. I got faith. All right.
I was
All right.
messing
Get y'all a
it.
Brenda.
Brenda,
Get y'all a
get you a
Brenda.
Brenda. If you wasn't
Get
on
y'all
that
Brenda.
week, get you a Brenda.
Get you a
She
Brenda.
taking care of it. All right, y'all. Well, y'all have a good night, and until next week, I can't
All
wait to keep
right.
it real with y'all.
Okay.
Thank
Good
you.
All right.
Good
Good
night.
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 Good night.